I planted the slips in the straw bales about the 1st of May, and by the 19th of May this is what they look like. I planted 4 slips in the bale and a few slips in front of the bale. Sweet potatoes really don't grow much until the weather warms up, and this is what they look like on June 4th. By June 26th, they were starting to look pretty good and were sprawling out in all directions. It didn't take that long for the bale to completely disappear, and the vines in front of the bale extended for about 4 or 5 feet. This is the view on August 20th. Once I decided to harvest, the first thing I needed to do was trim some of the vines off so we could actually see the bale. But luckily, I'm pretty quick with a pair of pruners. I kind of like the look of sweet potato vines, and around the edge of our garden I plant them just to keep the weeds out. It actually didn't take very long, and now we can see our harvest as it occurs. Here's a quick look at the bale and what's left of the vines coming out the top. Once I had the vines removed, then I removed the wire that was around the bale so we could get at the straw easier. With the wires gone, getting to the sweet potatoes is pretty easy, and I soon started to find them. In this bale I had 4 different types planted, and the first one I see here is a purple Molokai. It's got purple on the outside and purple on the inside. And then right after that I found one that was all the way down into the ground. Even though most of them were in the bale itself, there were a few that were in the ground or partially in the ground. To get those out, I used my hand trowel to loosen them a bit, but even with my best efforts I usually end up breaking a sweet potato or 2. As well as the purple Molokai, I also planted Mayanmar, Okinawan Purple, and an unnamed purple variety from Trader Joe's. And as you'll see later, that unnamed variety ended up being the biggest of them all. Here's what's left of the purple Molokai. I ended up having to cut those loose with my hand pruners. I've grown sweet potatoes in grow bags, in the ground, and now in straw bales, and I was really pleased with the way they worked in straw bales. It was kind of nice to be able to just reach in with my hands and pull most of them out. The one I'm working on here is a Myanmar sweet potato, and that variety is white on the inside. It didn't take me too long, and right behind the Myanmar was a Okinawan Purple. And as you can see, they're ivory colored on the outside and a lavender color on the inside. I couldn't get that one loose without breaking it, so I went ahead and got my hand trowel and tried to loosen it a little bit first. And once I did that, it came right out. It was a little bit like hunting Easter eggs. The more straw I moved around, the more potatoes I found. And some of them, like I mentioned, were down into the soil and were a little harder to get out. But a whole lot of them were just in the straw, which was kind of neat in a way. Right after those 2 little ones there, I got the Okinawan Purple, which is a real nice size one. But the best, as you'll see, is yet to come. This end of the straw bale is where we hit the mother load, and some of these were pretty big, as you can see here. The one that I started slips from was a very small sweet potato, and it was the only one they had of that color, so I really don't know what type it is. But it's just a little bit different than the purple Molokai. Even the leaves are a little bit different. Not only were they a little bit larger than some of the other sweet potatoes, but some of them extended down into the soil also. I was trying to get them out as a group and not break any of them, so it was taking me just a little bit longer to get them out than I normally would take, but I think it was worth the effort. I had one that was down in the soil that I needed to get loose before I could pull them all out. Then once I get them all out of the bale, I'm going to dig under where the bale was to see if I have any more, and then dig in front of the bale where I had the other slips planted. As you can see, I'm already starting to get a nice pile of sweet potatoes just from this one bale of straw. And these are some of the biggest that I've ever grown. I was a little surprised that all I found in the soil under the straw bale were a couple of Okinawan Purple sweet potatoes. But everyone helps. In the first spot, I tried my best not to break too many off, so I pried up slowly and then reached in and tried to pry up with my hands. I ended up only getting one nice sweet potato out of that spot, and the next spot I did a little bit better. I did pretty much the same thing. I tried to pry up slowly so I wouldn't break them, because I've had that happen to me before. Again, I tried to pry up these with my hands once I got them loosened with the potato fork, and I ended up with a nice small group of sweet potatoes. I'd say they're better than nothing. These are Myanmar. They are white on the inside, and some of them have a discoloration called scurf. If you want to know more about that, I'll put a link down below. It just affects the skin, but it doesn't affect the edibility of them. This next group is Purple Molokai, and all of these came from that one straw bale and in front of it. After the Purple Molokais, we had 3 Okinawan Purples, and those are a really pretty potato, sweet potato, and they're good to eat too. And the last ones are the unnamed variety from Trader Joe's, and that's the type that got really big. I'm curious to see what these will taste like. I haven't got them cured yet, but they're well on their way. In 2 or 3 weeks, I hope to post a video on the other straw bale that I planted red garnet sweet potatoes in. And as you can see, they did very well too. Once I have that video up, I'll post a link to it also. And if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and follow along and see what we do the rest of this year and next. We'll see you next time.